smell and teeth.
Hello.
Hello. What is it now?
Now, I want to talk to you today about hybrid gear. Because we always talk about hardware being better than software. Well, this is like the two have come together and merged.
Always a bad fucking idea, isn't it? Go on. This is about that tubey thing we got the other week, wasn't it? We were sent
Yeah.
to review.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Or to play with, to try.
Yeah.
Yeah. And go on, he's doing his humphs, isn't he?
Oh, what? I've got...
First of all, before you get into too many humphs, tell us what they are. What is a piece of hybrid gear?
Right, there's two pieces of hybrid gear. You either get a piece of hardware that is specifically designed to control a piece of software, or it's a piece of software specifically designed to control a piece of hardware.
Okay. You don't sound as though you actually like them.
I fucking hate them.
God, I knew it.
Oh, no, I think it is just such a bad fucking idea. Right.
Why? No, go on, why?
Right, let's go back in time. Can we do the do-do-do-do-do-do-do? Right, we'll go back in time. Many years ago, I bought a piece of hardware called the Rhizome.
All
Now,
right.
I suspect very few listening to this have ever heard of Rhizome.
Okay. I know what it is, but only because it's in the store cupboard. Because we'll wait until we retire and open a museum.
It still won't work.
No, but it'll be out there.
Well, this was back in the day, and it's a really big piece of equipment, isn't it?
It's
really
massive.
big.
Yeah, you feel so. You probably got a lot of equipment for your money then.
Yeah, I mean, it was about £2,000 a year. I think this was 20 years ago. This big piece of equipment, and I bought it. And what it was is you plugged it into your computer via USB, and any plug-in you opened would go across these screens, because it had 4 screens in a row with knobs underneath, like, I think it was 10 knobs underneath each row of screens.
It's like it's scarred you, isn't it?
It scarred me horribly. And what would happen is you'd open a plug-in, and the plug-in would automatically spread across these screens. So every control had a knob underneath it.
All right, sounds really cool.
It was really fucking cool. It's a really good idea. The only problem was I spent $2,000 on this. And it was about 3 weeks after buying it, there was an OS upgrade. So I thought, well, I'm going to upgrade my OS, you know.
Oh.
So I upgraded the OS, because I was already behind anyway. I always stay a year behind.
Yeah.
I think it was Snow Leopard or Snow Monkey or Leopard.
God, he's showing his age.
I don't fucking know. It was Monkey or something. I can't remember the OS. But I updated to Snow Monkey or whatever it was back then. And it stopped working. I was like, oh shit, I'll go to the developer's website to download these drivers. And
Update it and all that.
went to the website, discontinued. Nothing. And it's like, I spent $2,000 buying this piece of equipment just a few weeks ago. What the fuck? So I sent an email to him and went, can I have the drivers for the latest edition? I know you've discontinued it now, but obviously, the drivers for... No. So it was like, well, can I have the drivers for the older one? Because I'll roll back.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. Because I'd update, I'd install the drivers, but you don't keep them, do you? Throw them in the bin afterwards. No, we won't even supply them. Nobody supports this product. It's completely unsupported. So I got in touch with the company I bought it from, which is a German company that everybody knows begins with T.
Okay, yeah.
I got hold of them.
No advertising.
Yeah, I'm not going to advertise.
It's a free YouTube. It's a free podcast, this.
just in case.
But if you want to sponsor us, please do.
Subscription, it's £5 a podcast. No. That's another story altogether.
Yes.
But no, it was... So I got in touch with them and I said, look, this has just been discontinued. Can I return it and get me... No, and it was like £2,000. And that
That's
back
a
then,
lot
that
of
was a
money
lot of money.
then. Yeah.
£2,000
Could probably have bought like a quite nice car for that.
That's another one. I swapped a car for a sample.
I know you did.
I felt like Jack and the Beanstalk. You go instead of go to market, you come back with beans. I had a car and came back with a sampler.
We must be from the same stock, you and I, because it took me, I think, 2 years to choose to buy a new car. And if you to show me a piece of gear, I choose within about 48 hours.
I bought, getting back on topic, I bought this This was, and they wouldn't take it back, and I spent $2,000 on this. I was so pissed. So I have this hatred of anything that requires a piece of software to run, because the minute they stop supporting it, game over. You've got a doorstop.
I can see your point of view, but some of these pieces of gear are fun. I mean, I have used the SSL UC1, and it is fun. It's really nice to use. And maybe we just have to accept that they have a limited lifespan.
I'm not denying it. I mean, this tube thing we used, it had a piece of software, and it went out to this box that had a couple of 12 AX7s in there and a couple of ECC83s, two pairs of tubes. And you could open the plug-in, and everything was transmitted via USB. So the sound actually came out your computer. You didn't have to put anything in. I understand how great that is.
Yeah.
I understand what a brilliant idea it is. And the same with the UC1. I understand that, like you can control and you can close your eyes, and I'm all for that tactile thing, which is why I've stuck with hardware for the past 35 years or so. You can't underestimate tactility. My problem is how long it lasts for, because SSL, I've got nothing against them. I've got a lot of SSL gear in our racks.
Yeah, we have.
But they are absolutely terrible
they are.
keeping up on updates.
Yeah.
What was it? I had something from. I had the Maddy Extreme card, which was a PCI card. PCI, I think it was PCIe. I can't even fucking remember. But it sits in your computer, and it connected Maddy out to the SSL converters that we used. And I bought that, and that wasn't cheap. That was about £1,200 just for a PCI card. Plugged it in, got the Maddy going. Thought this is great. 7 months later, updated the OS, and they don't fucking support it anymore. Just like fucking wankers. What the fuck?
You have been burnt a couple of times.
Too many times. And this is why I hate the idea, but I'm not blaming the manufacturers.
No.
I understand. I do understand. I really do that. You release a piece of hardware, and you've got to have somebody continually do the development on the software to keep up. And it's not going to be kind of profitable to you.
No, I think when you buy a piece of hardware like that, that's this hybrid, you've got to accept that you might have a limited life of it, and that that is your investment, and at the end of it, it might not be worth anything, but you've had your time out of it, your fun out of it. So I think maybe you need to consider how much you're going to use it.
Yeah, definitely. I think you've got to try and weigh up the value to you. I mean, like this UC1 software, it's really nice. I really like it. I'm going to give it 18 months before the UC2 is out, or the UC3, or whatever they fucking call it. But there's going to be a Mark II out that's going to have different lights and, an improved VU and some other bullshit they're going to try and sell with it. And the thing is, your UC1 then becomes worthless to everybody. You try and sell that and you paid 500 quid for it. You try and sell it on eBay and I'd be like, I'll give you 20 quid for it, mate, because, it's old. Nobody wants it.
So that always makes me question, do they actually have a place in a modern studio?
They can. I think what you've got to do is, you have to try and evaluate things, don't you? You have to say, how long am I going to get? Am I going to get the money back from this, or am I going to get the use back from it?
Yeah. And I suppose that depends whether or not you're doing it, say, professionally, it is the way you maybe earn your income, or whether you're doing it as something that's for pleasure as well.
Yeah. As long as you value it up and kind of weigh it up and go, well, I'll use it for 18 months. I'll get some fun out of it. I'll have a good laugh with it. Then that's fair enough. I mean, you can't underestimate tactile touch because it
fun,
does help.
And being happy doing what you're doing.
I mean, but you also have to be careful. I mean, there's a lot of things that do shortcuts, aren't there?
Well, I was just going to talk to you about this because I mean, I have a little tool that I love when I'm working, and this is, I don't think you can put enough value on this. And don't judge me when I say this, folks, but I have what I call, and it's called the knob.
You've got a knob.
I have a knob. I'm a girl, by the way. I might have a deep voice.
Yeah, but there used to be a time where you'd be on the park bench with flowers thinking, I hope she's pretty. Now you're going, I wish I'd got a dick.
Well, I haven't, but I have got a knob. No, I like that. That is... It's beautiful.
But then that's a mouse that is actually, they call it class compliant, which means if you plug it in, it just sees it and works. So you can hover over anything and just turn that big wheel and it works.
Yeah.
I'm more on about the things where, you plug this in and it gives you 50 shortcuts. We have one, don't we?
We have one for streaming for when we're doing our Zoom.
For Zoom, yeah.
But that didn't cost too much money. It wasn't a massive investment, and it makes our job easier.
But I wouldn't recommend it for a door.
No, that's what I'm... Yeah, so you've got to think what you're going to use it for, because we use it, as I say, we use it just on our Zoom, but I know a lot of people are talking about using them for the doors.
The problem I have with when you use something like that, because
God, he's so old, folks. If you could just see him moving around the studio with his little Zimmer frame. I've even had wheels put on the front to make it easier for him.
Many years ago, before I served in the war, Miss Gilthorpe used to write to me. There was this piece of equipment that it just had loads of buttons, and not like today where you actually have LED screens and it would actually put it was stickers, and you put stickers on these buttons.
Oh my God, it was a long time ago.
But you put stickers on these buttons and it would do shortcuts.
Yeah.
And the one thing I learned back then is that the minute that this piece of equipment stops working, you are fucked.
And you've also got to consider, if you are a producer that might go and work with somebody else, you might go to somebody else's studio and work with them. If you haven't got that piece of gear to do your shortcuts, or I tell you what is a common thing I've noticed people are doing, is they're going into their door and they're customizing their shortcuts.
Oh, it's the worst thing you can do. Because the thing is, the trick to what we do is the ability to work very quickly.
Yeah.
Because when you have an idea, you've got to get that idea down as quickly as absolutely possible. And you don't get that by moving a mouse around. So you've got to learn the shortcuts in your door. Now, everyone goes, oh, I've made all my own shortcuts. Or even Logic has, if you get an Apple iPad, you can actually get an app on your iPad that controls Logic, and you can put all your little shortcuts on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's so cool. But the minute you don't have that, or the minute that you work in somebody else's studio and you realise, shit, my shortcuts don't work here, you slow right down.
Mm-hmm. And music
useless.
Tends not to be done alone. You do want to collaborate with people and you want to share stuff and work together because it inspires you. And if you're stifled because you can't use the gear,
you can't get to the shortcuts faster.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, we always recommend to everyone we work with, learn 5 shortcuts of your door a week.
Yeah.
Just 5 shortcuts. And within a few months, you're going to know every single shortcut inside out, and it makes you work fast. And that's the key to what we do, work very fast. But if you create all your own shortcuts and use an iPad, the minute that iPad goes down, the minute that, say you reinstall your door and it writes over all your shortcuts, you're fucked again. And you've got to spend the next 2 days putting all your shortcuts back in. You might as well just use the shortcuts they give you.
Yeah, because that time you're not going to get it back. So just swinging back to the hybrid gear, which I wanted to talk to you about.
We wandered off.
We always wander off. I'm so sorry, everyone.
Banking on about doors now. Go
But going back to the hybrid gear, do you think that manufacturers have thought, right, well, I can do a piece of software for $29.99, and then I could get them to buy the hardware hybrid, which is software and hardware for 800 to 1,000 or even 1,500 quid. Before then, I'll make them plunge and buy a nice piece of hardware for 4K.
Well, you know my opinion. I mean, people hate it when I say this. They absolutely hate it.
Well, go on, just be hated.
I'll be hated.
I field the emails anyway.
Yeah. So just you send as much hate mail as you want, it'll just get bounced right back to you. One of the things, software plugins are basically just a selling of an upscale.
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't really talk about this, but the thing is, when we look at Adobe and things like, and Cubase, I'm on about Wares software now. Cubase, when it was Waresed, and everybody would use it, it was a fact of when you had the money, you buy the original. And Steinberg really didn't care, because it's like, well, everyone's using it, and then when they do get the money or work in a professional environment, they're going to want to use this because they know it inside out. And plugin manufacturers are doing the same fucking thing. They're kind of saying, oh, this is the software replica of the hardware. And they know perfectly well that when you mature enough, you're going to buy that piece of software. Then when you bought that software and you get even better, you're going to go out and buy the hardware of it because you're so used to the software, you know the hardware inside. So it is very much upselling.
Yeah, so I just wonder if the hybrid gear is sort of that next step for people.
I think what they're doing is these manufacturers are recognising that there's a problem, that people don't want to buy a load of interfaces. They're sick of latency, of going out, popping it back in and messing around. So I can understand exactly why they're doing it. The problem is that they cannot financially support it for long.
No, and I do wonder whether or not maybe production, because, you know, if you think, say, 20 odd years ago, it was all hardware, and then it swung towards the software. Do you think the pendulum's starting to swing back, and this is a way of introducing hardware back?
It is, definitely. It is, because, I mean, you know, it's like anything. It swings one way, then it swings the other, and then it kind of settles somewhere in the middle where you use both.
Yeah.
And that was it. Yeah, it was all hardware, then it was all software, and then it kind of went to the middle and went, well, actually, it's a bit of software and hardware together. And it is trying to find that meeting of the two. I mean, the perfect solution for this, I feel, is for each door manufacturer to actually create an interface that works with their equipment and gets rid of latency. You know, I mean, imagine if you had an audio interface that you could plug into Logic, and Logic could talk to that interface and say, there's this much latency, I'm just going to get rid of it.
Yeah, that would be that'd be quite a game changer, wouldn't it?
That is the solution that we're all looking for. Yeah. But the thing is that because door manufacturers aren't doing that, you know, it's a case of we've got these third parties coming in going, well, you know, plug this into your USB. And the problem is, it's fine plugging it. I mean, there's one piece of equipment we do use, the analog heat, the Electron analog heat too. Now, the thing is...
You enjoy that? Oh, my God. Yeah, by the way, folks, he likes that.
I do like that. I do. It's a lovely... I mean, it's... Not all the distortion and saturation is great. Some of it's a bit iffy, but, you know, in the majority, it's very good. And the fact is that you can run it via USB with a plugin. Now, the thing is, I know that if they stop developing that overbridge plugin, I still have all the parameters on that. I can still use it, and it still has analog in and out, so I can still use it as I normally would. So I know that I'm not completely dependent on it, but that piece of equipment that we tested, that Tubi
was completely dependent.
That was completely dependent on the software. And the minute that software goes, you've got a box with valves in that lights up.
Yeah. And what I always do when we buy, you know, if we were to buy a piece of gear like that, I go into my business mode brain and I equate how long we're going to use it for, how long we're going to have it, and how many hours. So that's the consideration there for me. So I'm not going to let you Twitter on anymore, because I think actually...
I was getting into a rant.
I know you were getting into a mega rant then. I think actually there's actually a piece of production sat on the desk, and you're going to go off and use the heat.
Yeah, at least I can use that without a plug-in.
Thank you.
It's Mo and Tiff.